Traditional physics and philosophy assume reality is built on an unchanging foundation, treating substance as a fixed substrate beneath the visible world's chaos. This creates a structural paradox. An absolutely static foundation lacks the capacity to generate a dynamic world, making motion, change, and emergence impossible to explain within the system. Philip Lillian's generative ontology resolves this by designating the continuous flow of process, becoming, as the primary ground of reality. In this model, the objects we identify as being represent temporary stabilizations of this generative flow. Form and identity are secondary phenomena. A solid form crystallizes as a momentary residue. It exists only as long as the underlying process continues to generate it. Understanding the universe requires mapping the precise mechanics of how existence emerges, rather than cataloging the objects that appear to exist. Modern ontological mathematics attempts to replace physical substance with an eternal realm of numbers and equations as the ultimate substrate. This approach treats mathematics as a self-referential system that describes the structure of the universe while failing to explain why that structure materializes. Generative ontology reframes mathematics as an emergent language of resonance. In this framework, math acts as a record of generativity, charting the structural echoes left behind as the universe actively forms itself. We can trace this sequence directly, beginning with the mechanics that allow reality to bootstrap itself from pure potential into discrete structures. This process begins at an origin point called Zeta Naught. Zeta Naught represents a field of absolute coherence, a state saturated with unstructured potential, rather than an arithmetic zero representing absence. Discrete forms emerge from this potential through the meta-operator, a coupled dynamic that modulates the field. One half of this dynamic is the asymmetry resonance operator, or arrow. Its function is to reduce pure coherence, breaking perfect symmetry to produce structured, observable forms. The arrow is counterbalanced by the symmetry coherence operator, or SCO. This operator represents the influence of consciousness, acting to sustain and enhance coherence within the field. These two forces are locked in constant interaction. The push for symmetry and the pull of asymmetry collide, and their intersection modulates reality into existence. The meta-operator provides the generative force necessary to pull discrete objects out of the ocean of infinite potential. The specific output of the meta-operator is governed by seed equations. Seed equations act as irreducible resonance identities, physical boundary conditions that dictate the path of emergence. These equations function as coherence attractors. Unstructured potential interacts with these identities and condenses into discrete realities. The equation 0 to the power of 0 equals 1 acts as a funnel, stripping away the chaos of the coherence field and forcing structural alignment. Without these mathematical constraints, the generative energy of the field would diverge into pure noise. These equations provide the blueprint for the universe to bootstrap itself into existence, generating form without requiring pre-existing matter. The primary constraints of emergence are found in the unity tetrad, starting with 0 to the power of 0 equals 1. This identity models the genesis of unity. The moment nullity, under self-application, condenses into the first stable unit of identity. The second constraint is the hypergravity identity, 0 factorial equals 1. This equation acts as an invariance background, ensuring that identity and coherence remain intact even under absolute reduction. The third constraint is phase closure, negative e to the power of I times pi equals 1. This models a coherence field rotating through an imaginary phase and returning to unity, completing a cycle of resonance. The final seed is the coherence genesis invariant, infinity to the power of 0 equals 1. This ensures that infinite recursive emergence stabilizes into a singular unity, rather than fragmenting outward. These four identities are active generative laws that permit structure to survive the transition out of the void. Foundational equations scale up into the macroscopic world, producing the transcendental constants we observe in nature, such as pi, e, and phi. Traditional mathematics views these numbers as irrational results found across unrelated domains. Under the Transcendental Resonance Index, these constants are resonance attractors, stabilized residues of the coherence field's phase geometry. Pi serves as the symmetry modulus of curvature. E operates as the engine for recursive growth. Phi represents the first irrational bifurcation of unity. These constants are the measurable footprints left behind by the universe's self-generating process. The journey from Zeta Naught through the meta-operators and seed equations defines a single sequence of emergence. This sequence shows that mathematics is the emergent record of reality's ongoing generativity. The river of becoming operates as a mathematically rigorous engine of emergence. Generative ontology bridges physics, mathematics, and consciousness by demonstrating that all three arise as different stabilizations of the exact same coherence field. Without process, there is no substance. To exist is to become.